For the art of adjusting, I've created 4 points or a framework to really help you before, during, and after an adjustment. Number 1, observe. Number 2, assess. Number 3, communicate. And number 4, adjust. I'm going to give you an example of what each one is like and how to use it. Okay? So Hero's going to take downward facing dog. And I like down dog as an example because it's typically one of those poses that our students hold for quite a bit, and we can come in and give an adjustment. Number 1, observe. Observation is so important in anything, right? Because when you observe, you really get to see what's going on. And when I observe a pose, I try to observe the foundation. And when there are 2 pieces of foundation on the ground, like in downward facing dog, you have the feet and the hands, I'll choose the part of the foundation that is the most important or at risk. In downward facing dog, it's the hands, the arms, and the shoulders. So in order to get the best view, I stand from the front first. And the front will help me observe what I want to see in the hands, the arms, and the shoulders. And then the second part would be from the side to really begin to see whether he's engaging his core. Assess. Now I assess. After my observation, I see what's going on in his body. Maybe he has an imbalance, lack of engagement somewhere. And in my assessment, I begin to assess what I think he needs. So with downward facing dog, I know I want him to grip the ground with his fingertips, want him to firm the forearms in and spread the shoulder blades wide, which brings me to my third, communication. The number 1 point in communication would be communicating alignment and engagement. That's so important. Before you step in and give an adjustment, you want to educate your student on what you want them to do. Because in any pose, you're looking for 2 points. You're looking for them to receive and for them to resist, right? That way your adjustment is more effective in its depth as well as in its safety, okay? So when I communicate, I'm communicating what I want from him in terms of engagement, which is keeping his arms and his shoulders really rooted and engaged. And I also want to be able to communicate him staying safe. So before I step in and give an adjustment, I always ask, any injuries? If there are no injuries, then I likely will adjust. If I do find a student who has injuries, I might not adjust, especially in a class setting when I don't have the time or space to talk to that student about that injury. However, adjustments are great for students with injuries, so if you have time to work with them after class, that might be a good thing to do. All right, take a break. You've been there for a while. So the way I'm going to teach this course is you'll see a lot of me talking about the alignment, a lot of me talking about the communication piece, and then the actual adjustment. A lot of these adjustments and the communication are great for those of you who are working in a private setting or even with your students after class. And then sometimes I'll show you quicker adjustments that will work during a class. Even though I'm teaching, I always communicate with my student, even if it's briefly. Come back into downward facing dog. Okay, so if this were an opportunity with one of my students where I could really talk to them, it's a private setting, then I will sit down and make sure that his fingertips are gripping, really root down through the index finger knuckles, maybe teach him to firm the forearms in, spread the shoulder blades wide, move to the side, draw the ribs in, the navel in towards the spine, and then tell him, make sure to resist me. Keep lifting the forearms as I place my hands on his upper glutes and press up and back. And within that frame of communication, I also, as I begin to give the adjustment, let him know to resist me. And if right now he's stronger than me, so if he's resisting me too much, then I can also communicate and say a little less. And I always make sure I ask, does that feel good? I get a yes, maybe even ask, do you want some more? He says yes, and I can push some more. In a class setting, it might be a little bit quicker. If I see anything wrong with his foundation, I'll quickly adjust it, simultaneously teaching the class. Then I'll step in, give a quick adjustment. Maybe I have an opportunity to ask about injuries first, to ask if it feels good, and then step away. So the 4 parts of your framework, really, really important. And the more experience you get with using them, the easier it is for you. So start with that framework. Remember, it's observe, assess, Communicate alignment, communicate safety, ask if there are injuries, and then step in and adjust. And even after the adjustment or during the adjustment, you can come back to that observation. Is it working in their body? You can come back to that assessment, maybe even communicate as well.